Hi Geminis, and welcome to your February 2019 Tarology 33 reading. Before I go any further, let me just say thanks to you guys for having the most views, likes, new subscribers for the January video. And we have a Celtic Cross spread in front of us. Normally 10 cards. You guys had extra cards coming up all over the place. And then we have 2 Oracle cards and a Mudra card that we'll go through after all that. So, a lot to get to, like I said, so let's get started. The main position, we had 3 cards come up. We have the 7 of Swords, the 10 of Wands, and the Death card. So going through them one by one, the 7 of Swords is technically an Aquarius card, so it's possible that this could just be pointing to a timeline for some of you. This would be the last 10 degrees of Aquarius, so that would be, let's say, roughly from the 10th to the 20th of February. So, you know, on the good side, that could just be representing a timeline. This actually represents the last 10 degrees of Sagittarius, so that would be, let's see, from, let's say, roughly the 12th to, well, 11th to the 21st of December. And then the Death card is a major arcana card that represents Scorpio. But the main thing that I'm thinking of when I see these cards together is it could have been a situation where someone was being deceptive. I mean, that's clearly a well-known message that comes across when people see the 7 of Swords in a reading. But the way that I'm seeing this, and it could definitely be in a work scenario as well, but the way I see this is one person wasn't putting in nearly as much work as the other. So for some of you, it could have been you that wasn't putting in a lot of work, and then another person was picking up way more of the slack than they should have. If we look at the, comparison of these 2 cards, this is a person with a bit of a sly look on their face, like they know they're getting away with something. And then you look at this person here, it looks like they're taking on a whole lot. They can't even really see where they're going. They're taking on so much. And then if I want to look at this Death card as pointing to the house in your chart as Geminis, this would be, Scorpio would be your 6th house. So that's why I say for some of you, this could be in a work environment. So, like I said, maybe this was someone who was, maybe even stealing some of your ideas at work too. Maybe you were the one putting in all the hard work, right? And then someone comes along and steals your ideas and basically benefits from it. The good thing is, if that's the case, the way I always explain the 7 of Swords is if you look at the way they're carrying those swords, that's not the smartest way to carry something sharp, right? So usually those people don't get too far without, before they're found out. So if that's the case, and we also, I don't want to get too far ahead, but we have the Justice card in the position of the environment too. So if it's someone else that was doing this to you, the good thing is it looks like they'll get what's coming to them this month, so that's certainly a good thing. But just be mindful if this is you who was being a bit deceptive in some way and leaving someone else to do all the heavy lifting, that Justice card could also play out to balance the scales against you. So something to keep in mind there. And then if this is a romantic relationship rather than more of a work scenario, it could certainly be, where someone was, the way that I would see this in a romantic relationship, the way I explain it is these 2 swords to me represent the established relationship, and then these swords here, this isn't necessarily someone cheating per se. It could certainly be other people that they're dealing with, but this could also just be saying that they're doing whatever the hell they want to do, knowing that, what, when I come back, I have this stable foundation. When I'm, this stable relationship, when I'm ready to come back to it, so I'm going to do this, do that, leave this person to do all the work and all of the maintaining of the relationship. And, I'm just going to do whatever I want and not worry about the fact that they're taking on so much on their end. So that could be what's going on there for some of you, and if that's the case, it could certainly be a Scorpio that you're dealing with if that's the case. Like I said, For a lot of you, I'm getting a work vibe with this, though. We'll see as we go along, though, how it plays out. In the challenge or obstacle position, we have the Page of Wands. So the way that I'm seeing this is if we think about the progression of the wand cards, after the 10 comes the page. So one way I see this is this could just be saying the challenge is for you to lighten your load, right? If you are the one who's taking on a lot of the work, the challenge for you could be to put this dynamic to an end, because another thing that I should have pointed out with that death card as well is saying that if this is the dynamic that was in play, which was, someone else, getting away with murder essentially and leaving the other person with all the work, the death card could say that this could be coming to an end this month. That dynamic could be coming to an end. So maybe it's saying that the challenge or obstacle is for you to essentially lighten your load. I think it even might have been the bonus love reading I did for you guys where I mentioned it wasn't necessarily aimed at you. I think it was more the other person. But I was talking about, that difference of the 10 of wands and then the page of wands. The way I view it is lightening your load. With the 10 wands, the person can't even see where they're going. You know what I mean? They're just almost wandering aimlessly, almost being stubborn, quite frankly. Like, okay, you don't, there's probably better ways that you could carry those 10 wands, right? And then to me, I view this as, all right, well, now you let some of that other stuff go. You have just that one wand, right? Maybe this is just about finding out what's important to you and moving forward with that. And now you have a clear vision, right? Because now you don't have all those other burdens in your way. At the time I'm recording this, we're basically right around that eclipse energy. And there's going to be a full moon eclipse in Leo. I'm recording this on the 18th. So basically what this could be saying too is that the North Node was in Leo for a long time, which is Leo is our third house, and as Geminis, third house is the house of communication. It's the house that we naturally rule. So that could be pointing to that as well. This final eclipse is finally clearing that up. The lessons that we were supposed to learn in that third house, we're integrating them and finally moving forward. That could be what's at play there. All right, in the foundation position, a lot of cards came up here too. We have the Ace of Pentacles, the Wheel of Fortune, the Knight of Swords, and the Judgment card. So let's go through these cards one by one. The way I usually describe the aces is, to me, they're not necessarily a solid offer just yet. They're more of an idea of an offer or an idea of a new beginning in that type of area. So in this case, it could be financial, obviously. Just could be stability in general, just earthly things. I see this, and that's how I view it as far as, you see that kind of like a cloud there and a hand sticking out. It's not in anyone's possession just yet, right? Whereas, let's say the Page of Pentacles, similar to the Page of Wands here, the Page of Pentacles would actually be holding that pentacle. So that's kind of how I view the ace. It's more like in the idea stage right now. It's not necessarily a tangible thing just yet, but it's in the works. And then with the Wheel of Fortune, this could just be saying that it's a timing thing. And with the Wheel of Fortune come up in the upright, it looks like the timing is either approaching very soon, or it might actually be in effect right now. And then we have the Knight of Swords, which is actually the Gemini court card. So this could just be saying that maybe if you felt held back for a while too, maybe this was an offer that was in the works for a long time, and it just seemed like you were spinning your wheels. No pun intended with the Wheel of Fortune there. Now the Wheel of Fortune finally comes around, gives you that okay to move forward with it, right? And you overly eagerly do so, right? And then the Judgment card to me points to, this says that, okay, whatever this is about, it's something that you are revisiting from the past. So again, that's why I say, maybe this was an offer that was already made to you some time ago. and maybe for whatever reason it couldn't get off the ground. So obviously this, you look at this and what we mentioned with the work dynamic there, it could be a work situation, absolutely. Could be anything though. If we look at the fact that, the Wheel of Fortune is the card for Jupiter, and Jupiter is in Sagittarius, which is your opposite sign. So that could also be pointing to that dynamic, saying that, okay, with the Wheel of Fortune, this could just be saying that maybe a relationship from the past that you were trying to get off the ground, but the timing just was off for whatever reason. Maybe now that dynamic is coming to an end and you finally could move forward with that. And what I find interesting about the Judgment card being here as well is the Death card. All right, I view both of these as Scorpio cards. Death card is widely known as a Scorpio card. But for me, the Judgment card is as well. And the way I explained it is if you hear about Scorpio, the eighth house, rather, they're often referred to as that's the house of death and rebirth. So the Death card, self-explanatory, right? And then if you look at the Judgment card, to me this looks like rebirth. So I see them both as that Scorpio energy. So this could just be something coming back around with the Scorpio on a more basic level, but this could just be anything coming back around that you might have felt was held up. Maybe there was the idea to get it started for a long time. It just wasn't happening. Wheel of Fortune now says, okay, you have the okay to move forward with it. And there you go with the Judgment card, right? So that's what I'm seeing there. All right, in the past position, we have the Five of Cups and the Queen of Cups. So this is actually a Scorpio card, the first 10 degrees of Scorpio. So for some of you, this could just be saying that you went through a disappointment around that time. That would have been, let's say, the last week of October, more or less, a couple days on either side of that. That's one possibility. This is technically the Court card for Cancer for me, but given that there are a lot of Scorpio energies already on the table, it's certainly possible that this could be a Scorpio you were dealing with. If we look at this in a love sense, looks like there's definite disappointment there, and what that disappointment could be about is the way I look at the Queen of Cups, which I always find interesting, but it makes sense with the Cancer symbology there, is the fact that this cup is the one cup in that suit that's covered up. So this could just be saying that, maybe you were making offers to a water sign. Like I said, could have been a Cancer, Scorpio, maybe even a Pisces, and those offers were rejected. They just weren't opening up to you for whatever reason, and that could be the reasoning for the disappointment. And if that's the case, this could be that same dynamic there, saying that now, if this is relationship versus work, could just be saying that in the past that timing wasn't too good, but now something shifts that actually allows you to move forward with that, especially if you see the Lovers in the near future position as well. But if that's the case, it looks like you're not quite ready just yet, because in the present position we have the Four of Pentacles. Now this is actually a Capricorn card. It represents the last 10 degrees of Capricorn. And, again, at the time I'm recording this, that's basically where we're at. We're in the last 10 degrees of Capricorn. We're about to go into Aquarius next. Some people mention this as the Miser card, but the way I see this is more of an energy of Mercury visiting Saturn. So I view this more as someone thinking over, thinking about, okay, do I want to continue to invest in a situation? So, maybe this is someone coming back around, and now you're trying to decide, well, do I want to move forward with them, right? Maybe you're so stuck on the difficulties that you had in the past that you're like, well, okay, they're coming forward now, but do I really still want this, obviously that's not a happy energy. You could see that from the artwork, right? So it could be what's going on. Or, if this is work, again, this could be deciding to invest. Do I want to continue to invest in this job? Could just be investments in general. Again, maybe if you've been putting in the work, and maybe, like I said, the death dynamic, maybe this was, let's say, you were being underpaid. You know, maybe your bosses were telling you, oh, we don't have the money to give you a raise, when clearly they did, but they were just saying to you, oh, yeah, we only have this much, but really they had all those extra swords, which would represent money in this situation. And now with the death card being there, that could say that, okay, now that money that was promised to you all those times, now it's actually finally coming along. And, you know, now that you have that money, you were so accustomed to not having the money you were promised for all this time. Now you're like, all right, now I have it. What do I do with it? Right. So maybe you're a little overly cautious about, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to invest this money? You know, do I want to start my own business? Do I even want to stay with this job just because, all right, it's great that they're giving you that money now, but maybe you just might feel jaded knowing that all this time they were playing around with you, saying, oh, we don't have that money, and they did. Um, but yeah, again, like I said, that could just be pointing to just the fact that we're in that time at the time I'm recording this, the last 10 degrees of Capricorn. And for those of you who watched this in February too, if that's where your mind state was, then that would make sense too. You know, just saying around that time that you were thinking to yourself, okay, what do I want to do? You know, again, this eclipse is going to be in your third house. And for some of you, it could be your second house too, because it's going to be right at 0 degrees of Leo. So for some of you, that would still be your second house as well. So that would make even more sense to say you're thinking about, okay, what do I want to do with my money? And Capricorn being your eighth house as well, there's a lot of energy going on there, and that could be about investments as well. So we'll see how it plays out as we go along now. In the near future position, we have the Lover's card. This is the major arcana card for Gemini. So this could just be saying that you're feeling more like yourselves now. You know, there's obviously some bumps in the road that we see there, but it looks like this is a definite improvement. Again, like I said as well, if this was involving a relationship situation and now things are getting back on track, then that could be what this is pointing to as well, because obviously this could clearly point to a love relationship. And usually to me, this is a fairly healthy relationship. You know, if you look at the Devil card, for example, it looks like basically the same two people, but they're chained together. So to me, that more represents like a karmic connection, whereas this to me is just more, okay, this could be the real deal. But yeah, like I said, this could just be you guys feeling more like yourselves too. I mean, the sun's going into Aquarius at the time I'm recording this, and it'll be there for, you know, the first few weeks of February. So that's a fellow air sign, so that could have you feeling more uplifted in that regard. Like I said, there's that eclipse energy that's going to hit your third, and that lasts for a couple weeks after the eclipse plays out. So that's another thing that could have your, you know, have you feeling lit up, as far as that's your third house, which is the house Gemini naturally rules. So there's a lot of things that could point to saying why you would be feeling this way. But with it in the upright, you know, whether it's a love relationship or just how you're feeling, either way, you can't go wrong there. All right. And now, in the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Knight of Wands. So this is actually a court card for Sagittarius for me. So this could just be saying that with all the energy you've had going on in Sagittarius, you know, it might have just had you taking on that energy, or more specifically, again, going back to the sun moving to Aquarius, that's your ninth house, and Sagittarius is the natural ruler of the ninth house. So that could just have you taking on ninth house things. You know, you could be planning long distance travel, which would certainly make sense, you know, if you got money. We look at the Page of Wands, they have what it looks like, you know, those pyramids in the background, same thing there. So this could just be saying that now that that money you were looking for was freed up, maybe now you're actually deciding, all right, well, do I want to make that trip, right? So that could be what this was all about, certainly. But I think I remember that this card was in the outcome position last month for you guys too. So that could just be that energy is still carrying on. I think I remember getting the vibe that this was someone else, though, when it was in the outcome position, but it's certainly, especially coming up here now, as your influence in a situation could be you. Another way to look at this, too, is, again, with the Knight of Swords being the Gemini card, and then we look at the Knight of Wands. So both Knight energies. This definitely seems to be the fastest moving of the Knights. And then, the Wands is close behind. They also, like, they're moving. So this could just be saying that you're not as sharp, but not in a bad way. What I mean by that is maybe this energy going through your third house, that eclipse, like I said, the final eclipse in that house for 9 years. Maybe that's taught you a little bit about communication. Maybe you've been too sharp or just too aggressive in your communication, and now maybe again, like I said, not as sharp, but I mean that in a good way. Maybe you're just a little more tactful, perhaps. That could be what this is saying there as you take on that energy. And again, if this was something that was held up, like I said, with that Wheel of Fortune, and now it's finally moving forward, that could just be saying that, okay, well, now you're out of that phase of discussing, right? The Swords is about communication. You're out of that phase where you're discussing plans, where now you're actually able to take action on those plans, with the Wands representing taking action. Either way, it's pretty good energy. Even though it's not your element, you're still a Knight energy, so you should be able to adapt to this fairly easily, especially with the energy going on with the fire signs too. Alright, and then in the position of the environment, we have the Justice card. This is actually the major arcana card for Libra, and that's your 5th house. So again, this could be pointing to, if this is a love relationship, the 5th house is also related to love. There's not anything really going on in the sign of Libra that comes to mind right now. But this could just be going to, again, like I said, if there was an imbalance there, and that could be in anything. Like the first vibe that I got was that this was a work dynamic. But again, like I said, it could have been a relationship dynamic as well, where someone got a little too comfortable letting you do all the work, and knowing that they were letting you do all the work, but not even feeling guilty about it, just like, oh, whatever. Sucks for them, they see you struggling, taking on everything, and they're just like, oh, well, I'm going to keep doing what I want to do. That, to me, that says the justice in the environment position shows that there should be some balance restored there. So, whether that person gets their act together and actually starts to handle things the right way, or just, basically karma takes care of the situation for you, and maybe even someone new comes along, right? This could also represent a new connection. Maybe this was a more of a toxic connection for you, and maybe that's what the Death card is saying. It's going to end that, and now, you could get a more healthy connection going. It's certainly a possibility. You guys have the 8 of Wands at the bottom of the deck, so that's a lot of communication, definitely. So, could be multiple people on the table as far as offers go. And I think I mentioned that to you guys last month as well, with Jupiter being in your 7th house now. You could get certainly a lot of offers for relationships, and usually any relationship started during that time can be more of a beneficial and healthy connection. So there's that. But yeah, like I said, this could be anything. Work. Now the South Node is actually moving through your 8th house. So this could even be about an inheritance. Maybe that's what this was all about. Maybe you were owed an inheritance of some kind, or maybe there was some kind of law settlement that you were supposed to get money. It could have been a car accident, could have been almost anything. And maybe this is when it finally comes through. Whatever was owed to you finally comes your way. And then maybe that frees you up finally to do some more of the things that you wanted to do. But like I said, if this is deception, the reason I wouldn't stress it too much, like I said, 7 of Swords, generally speaking, those people tend to get caught with what they're doing anyway. And then with the Justice card in the environment, it's to say that, hey, you know what, you could just sit back a little bit and let things take care of themselves. I think you guys had the Knight of Swords in the challenge position last month, so maybe some of you already knew about this and you went to take them on, and now it's saying, if that didn't work out, or if you did hold back, because I think I was telling you guys, if you could, try not to get in your own way, just let things unfold. Maybe this is where you get to see that karmic justice play out. We'll see. Alright, in the hopes or fears position, we have 2 cards. We have the 2 of Swords Can't get it to focus. And we have the Temperance card. So the Temperance card is actually a Sagittarius card. So again, we are pointing to 7th house. And then if we combine that with this is actually a Libra card. So that's the natural 7th house. But these two together could just be saying that you're hoping to restore balance in a relationship. So if that's the case, it looks like the energy is definitely there to support that if that's your goal. Like whenever I look at the hopes or fears position, I do always tell people that this is just something that's on your mind. It's not necessarily an indicator that this would play out in the reading during the month, but again, if that is what you're hoping for, the energies that we just discussed here definitely seem to support that, so that's a good thing. Like I said, we had the Wheel of Fortune, the Judgment card, the Lovers in the near future, Justice, so there's definitely plenty of things pointing to balance being restored if that's what you want. But yeah, that's mainly what I'm seeing there. And this could just be pointing to as well, maybe as if we're looking for a timeline, that could be happening when the new moon in Aquarius happens. So that would be around mid-month. So, I won't go the cheesy route and say maybe someone will surprise you for Valentine's Day, but it's possible. Alright. And then the outcome position, if I could get them, 3 cards came up here. We had the Hangman, the 2 of Pentacles, and the Magician. So this was kind of funny to me when I saw these 3 cards come out together, because with the 2 of Pentacles sandwiched between them, and there's such opposite energies. The Hangman represents being still, not really taking any action, trying to look at things from a separate angle, whereas the Magician's more of a go, go, go energy, like, alright, I'm ready to manifest. So to me, that says that you could be about 2 minds when it comes to a certain situation. You could be trying to decide, all right, well, do I just want to fall back and let things fall into place naturally, see what happens, or do I want to just, make it happen myself? So that could be what these 2 pentacles represent, trying to decide which of these 2 energies you want to take on. But this could represent some other things too. The sun will be moving into Pisces, so this is actually a major arcana card for Pisces for me. And some people say it's the moon card, but to me it's more this card here. And so around the 20th or so of February, we'll have the sun moving into Pisces. So that could be what this is saying here. Maybe that, given that the outcome is generally speaking towards the end of the month, that could just be the energy you're taking on at that time. Not to mention that Mars, around the middle of February, will be moving into Taurus, which is your 12th house. So that could also have you really looking at that area of life, trying to look at things from a different angle, more spiritually. But yeah, the Magician here, either way you can't go wrong. If we want to look at this as a progression, is to say, take some time to look at things from a different angle, get that balance restored, and then move forward and manifest. That could be what this is pointing to there as well. Alright, let's get to the Oracle cards. So, first we have the Fates, and there's the artwork for it. And then that's number 17. So I'll read the messages for that first. Alright, it says fate, karma, acceptance that there are things you cannot change, and knowing what those things are. The Oracle's message. The Serenity Prayer sums up the meaning of this card. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There are things in your life you will never have control over. The conditions brought on by the evolution of the collective, by nature, and by your past experiences may be fated, preordained by spirit for a greater purpose you cannot understand in this lifetime. It may not be in your cards to understand why certain events occurred, but you can accept the mystery and work with what those events and your current circumstances have to teach you. This is the wisdom contained in the Serenity Prayer. So, I didn't really see anything too heavy going on there. We did have the Five of Cups in the past, and yes, the Seven of Swords energy is definitely a pretty sucky energy, but again, if maybe it was some kind of ending that you went through, especially if it wasn't ending, it looked more like it would have been from a relationship angle than a job angle. But, it's saying that maybe at the present time you don't understand why it happened, and maybe that's the energy you're coming out of right now, but it looks like as things move forward, whether you reconnect with the same person or someone new comes along, it looks like things should improve in that area either way. All right. The relationship message says other people are who they are. You can't change them. The challenge is to accept them as they are and not try to make them otherwise to suit you. This is a time to look at how you attempt to mold people to fit your view of how they should be so you can remain in the relationship and avoid discomfort. What if who they are and whatever is happening between you and them in the situation is perfect from the perspective of spirit? Now is the time to accept what you cannot change, even if it means that you honor yourself, spirit, and the other person by moving on. Love unconditionally, for each of us is on our own journey, and we cannot direct that of another. Be aware that this relationship is indeed fated, and you are meant to evolve into a better version of yourself as a result of it. So, that would just be the main thing that I think of with that was what I was saying is with the Four of Pentacles, that could have just been you possibly mulling over, okay, this, with the Judgment card coming up saying, all right, I have the opportunity to get back into this connection or, try again, but do I want to, right? So that could be what you're just sizing up right now, trying to see, okay, now that I know what I know, do I want to continue or do I want to just call it quits and then move in a different direction? Either way, it looks like you should make out well with that with the Justice card in the environment. All right, and for those of you that this resonated as a finance reading, the prosperity message says your experiences concerning prosperity and abundance are beyond your personal control right now. You are being invited to accept what is unreservedly. This could be a temporary situation seemingly thrust upon you by outside forces, but there is an underlying purpose you can't see that has been determined by the fates. It could be a situation you are unprepared for, and you may not understand how it will benefit you in a moment. Do not fight the situation. Ride it out and see where it leads. Surrender to it, and the serenity you need to make good choices from here on out will be given to you. You will indeed flourish. So again, like I said, most of what I'm seeing as far as the prosperity message goes too, I didn't really see anything heavy going on there. Like I said, if it is Seven of Swords with the deception in the workplace there, it does look like those people will be found out. And like I said, the Gemini energy could be very reactive. And it looks like, if you just hold out for a bit and let things play out, it should work out in your favor. But yeah. That was it for the messages there, so we'll move on to the next oracle card, and it's from the Spirit Animal Oracle. And the card you got was Koala Spirit. It says Spirit has a plan, so it almost sounds like the Fates card that we just looked at, but there's the artwork for it. And it's number 35, if that resonates with any of you. We'll read the message for that next. All right, it says, Oracle message. In nature, the koala moves slowly through the branches of the eucalyptus tree, leisurely chewing the leaves, reminding us that life is not a race or competition. Chasing around after every distraction can keep us from recognizing that we have all we need and that spirit will always be there with gifts to sustain us. You are being asked to trust that by moving slowly, with faith in the abundance that is everywhere, surrendering to a power greater than yourself, you will be able to experience the manifestation of your desire. As you take your time enjoying the riches available to you right now, Sitting peacefully, you begin to radiate the joy and abundance you seek. Spirit is here to help you discover happiness, pleasure, and contentment, all gifts that are yours and in the now and in the future. Have faith and trust in Spirit's plan for you, and know that you are loved and cherished. So, that just sounds like it's a timing thing, telling you to slow down a bit and relax, which is kind of funny because I remember mentioning that in last month's reading because we had a lot of great cards in that spread. I don't remember all of them, but I did remember that the Knight of Swords was in the Challenger obstacle, and I was like, the only risk was you getting in your own way. So maybe this is just reiterating that message to say, hey, maybe things still haven't panned out the way you were hoping, but give it a little more time. That could be what the Hangman and the outcome position is saying as well. Saying, you kind of let that balance restore itself, and then you'll be in that magician energy where you can manifest whatever you want at that point. So maybe you just need a little more time to look at things from a different angle and slow down a bit. And then maybe that's what that Ten of Wands and Page of Pentacles message I was talking about is pointing to as well, saying, maybe you need to figure out what you want to carry, continue to carry with you, what you want to let go, and then that'll help you move forward more easily from there too. So maybe that's what you need to reconsider, what should move forward with you, what you need to leave behind. All right. And lastly, we have the Mudra card, something I started last month. So we got the Avahana Mudra, and that's number 9, if that resonates with any of you. And this is the actual gesture itself that you would do. So basically, for those of you who don't know, it's basically a gesture or pose that you would make with your hands while you're meditating. And there's plenty of different ones, and each one will help with a different area or blockage in life. The keyword for this one is connection. So yeah, this is the actual gesture there. And then I'll just flip it around to the back of the card and try to get it to focus so you guys can take screenshots of it if you want, so you could read it. Now I'll move up so you could see the rest of it as well. Alright, but yeah, basically, generally speaking, with all the mudras, you want to hold them for at least 5 minutes while you're meditating. Some say up to half hour, 45 minutes. But especially if you're not used to meditating, and I think for Geminis, a lot of us could probably say we're not. Maybe even just try to do the 5 minutes if you can. But for this particular mudra, the benefits, it says a grounding and centering, improves digestion and assimilation, strengthens devotion and connection with one's personal deity or principle of divinity, truth, etc. So, this is just one of those things. I pull a random card for you guys, I shuffle a bit, and then this was the card that came up, so hopefully it resonates with you guys. I'll also put the name of it in the description if you wanted to research it further. I'm sure there's probably YouTube videos about it, or at the very least a Google search will give you some more background information on it. But we'll wrap up there, guys. I'll be doing a bonus video for you guys since you had the most views, likes, and new subscribers for the month of January. So thanks again for that, and I'll talk to you all next month. All right, bye.